Hey everybody, Tech and Josh here with IndieGameRiot.com, and we're here checking out Vidar, which is an RPG puzzler where everybody dies. We're here with Dean, who is the sole developer of this game, here to talk more about this game. We played it, and let me tell you, the puzzles really make you, once you figure something out, you feel really smart. And
not to mention that you had like 2 minutes to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I did not wait at all. It is pretty challenging. So, Dean, tell us a little about the game and sort of what someone might get from it.
Yeah, so the game is all about random storytelling. It takes place in this town with 24 different people. Every night a random one of them is killed. And all these people have their own plots and their own stories, relationships with each other. So when one person dies, everyone else's stories kind of go akimbo. And because the order of the deaths is random in each game, the story that gets told is actually different every time. People are going to be able to see totally different plots every time they play the game.
That's cool.
Okay, so you would get like it's really easy to get connected and like emotionally invested with these characters.
Yeah, so all of these characters have their own personalities, and that's really important to, like, you know, some of them you're really going to get connected to, some of them you're going to hate because they're intentionally written that way, you know, and you kind of love to hate them. But ultimately, there's some that you're not going to get invested in at all. There's somebody's got to die the first night. You're never going to get to know that person in that playthrough, and you're just going to have to play again to hope that they like last a little bit longer in that game and see how their story evolves and what they're like. Yeah.
All right, that's good because the replayability is high, and that just adds extra hours and you get more value to the game. And speaking about the game too, I noticed that you have a Kickstarter running right now. Do you want to let people know like what some of the perks are, how they can go fund that?
Yeah, so we're in the middle of our Kickstarter. Some of the rewards are really cool. There are things like designing puzzles that you can find in the game, designing some of the backstory that some of the people who have died before the town, before the game starts. You can see their names and their their grave inscriptions and things like that. And our backers can design all that. In addition, we're offering, just because the game is so like retro inspired, we're offering box sets as well on the Kickstarter. So you get that instruction manual and that actual like physical copy, which I really love.
Yeah,
so.
That's something that more games need to do, because I remember like recently I'll go into like a store or something that doesn't specialize in games, but I'll look at games and I'll see one and be like, they have a box for that. I already own that game, but I want to buy the box. Like that's a really good thing to have.
It's nice having that tangible copy right in your collection.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And you also get the idea that there's you can get more lore in an instruction manual too. I remember it's tough to necessarily convey all of that in a game setting, and some people don't want to read all of that, and some people are like, I cannot read enough about this world, and so they can open up the instruction manual and see, for example, like illustrations of all 24 of the residents in Vidar, all their bios and their backstories, and really get to know them even more. Yeah.
That makes me really excited too. But you mentioned, you like the retro aspect of it. What are the retro games or games that really inspired this game?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of art style, I'm working with an artist. Her name is Becca Bear. She's amazing, and she took the vision and ran with it. And I, told her I was looking at kind of the golden era SNES, like Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger games. But those games are intentionally very bright and vivid, and I was like, this is a sad game. This is not a happy game. And so we tone that down. So it's the same kind of style, but all of the graphics are muted. Like the color palette is very desaturated and everything like that. So look a lot to that for inspiration. For the game development, I really love those kinds of games where you have a town that slowly builds up, whether it's something like Animal Crossing or a Sim Builder or something like that, where people are coming in and making your game bigger, your town bigger and bigger. I wanted to flip that and see what happens. Okay, we have a town that's alive. Make it a ghost town halfway through. What happens?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where can they find more information on this? I know you guys have the Kickstarter. Do you have a website that they can check out? Facebook, Twitter?
Yeah, absolutely. We're on Facebook and Twitter. The best way to find us is vidarthegame.com. All the information's there. The link to the Kickstarter is there, the trailer video, and all that information. So we post pretty regular updates. You can see the dev blog that's going on and everything. Yeah.
And this is for what systems are you developing for?
Yeah, so it's for Windows. The demo right now is for Windows. Well, I'm hoping to have a Mac and Linux demo by in a month or so, and we're going to release for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Yeah.
All right, awesome. And is there a projected release date that you guys are thinking, given Kickstarter funding?
Right. So once we fund on Kickstarter, we're aiming for March 2016 is what we're targeting. I think it's just most of the core parts of the game are done, like the random puzzle generator or the random dialogues and all that kind of stuff. But the art's going to take time. And so the Kickstarter is primarily for art assets. And once we get that funding, then we'll start to work on the art and all the pumping it full of content.
Okay.
Awesome. And about how long are you projecting a playthrough to be for the finished game?
Yeah, it totally depends on whether a person really likes to talk to NPCs or not. I'm the kind of person that if there's like lore in the game, I'll read everything. I'll talk to everyone in town. And for the kind of player that I am, it's like 4 to 5 hours for a playthrough. If people just want to like jump in and do the puzzles, they're gonna miss out on the story, but it's totally doable. That's more the kind of player my husband is. He doesn't read text from NPCs at all. It's just not a thing. And it'll take like more closer to like 3 or 4 hours. Yeah.
Okay. So, and not only do you have actual time in game, you also have a very replayable game with a lot of new things. I'm assuming difficulty settings for the puzzles?
So right now it's just a straight difficulty, but what we're doing is right at MAGFest, which is invaluable to have, we're tracking how long it takes everybody to finish a puzzle. And because there's so many different options for each puzzle, we can kind of look at a bell curve and say this one's too hard, this one's too easy, and we can target it towards a better completion rate and a better timing and all that kind of stuff.
So you're basically balancing it out right now.
Yeah, as we're here. So everything is like, we're tracking your every move. We're sending all of that data into a data store so that when I get back home, I can read it all and say, all right, this puzzle's got to go. Or even sometimes, like, I find somebody does a puzzle in 15 seconds, and I'm like, there's a bug in that puzzle, and they found it. Like, there's something too easy. Yeah.
One more question before we sign off. It kind of intrigues me with a lot of puzzle games. Like, what? In my mind, it just seems like how are people coming up with these puzzles? How do you come up with the puzzles?
Yeah, so definitely in terms of mechanics, I take inspiration from a lot of old puzzle games, and I look at Zelda. I look at we're demoing a lot of frictionless ice puzzles because that's what the art is done for right now. So look at Pokemon and all that kind of stuff, and see, okay, here's what the core is. How can we modify this? So I'll come up with just 1 or 2 extra puzzle mechanics. So all right, you're sliding on ice. Let's break some ice and have it break as you go over it. Now how many more puzzles can we come up with that? Or a switch that triggers every time you switch over it, you slide over it. How many more puzzles can we come up with that?
That's like you mentioned Pokemon. That actually did remind me a lot of the Ice Gym in one of the Pokemon games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you kind of like look at those and then say, all right, what's my twist on this? So in one of the possible options that you can get in the demo, you actually control 2 different people at this, and you have to switch between them.
Oh, that's cool.
One person who's opening and closing doors, and the other person who's actually running through it. So even why mess with something that's so classic and did really well? You just find it and say, here's my take. Here's my signature.
Right. Okay.
Awesome.
Is there anything else that you want people to know about the game before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean I'm going for some serious themes. I'm trying to go dark without being gritty, basically. And I hope people really enjoy the narrative that gets told and check it out. Yeah.
Awesome. This has been Vidar.
Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I pronounced that right. Here at MAGFest 13, check out their Kickstarter or their website. Find them on Twitter and all that awesome stuff. This has been Tech and Josh for IndieGameRiot.com, and we'll see you guys next time.